Welcome back to the channel. We are the Movie Marathon Men. I'm Owen Garner.
And I'm Luke Carr.
And we watch films that make us go, But we've not watched a film today, have we, Luke? We've been watching a TV show. It's our first departure, but don't worry, it is still very much within a saga, the Star Wars saga, to be specific, because we have been watching The Acolyte, and here comes our review for you.
Last night, a Jedi was murdered.
So, Luke, top line. I've got a few questions on my phone, but what's your top line while I get these up for you?
Line number one is it's quite hot in the UK today.
It is. It's very hot. It's very hot.
An ill-advised black cloth outfit.
That helmet must be boiling. I mean,
my gosh.
metal is a conductor of heat. When he's out in the sun, that's probably why Sith only come out at night.
My opinion of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and actually, I won't say immediately. We watched it in different ways.
We did.
I had my eyes closed. You had earplugs in. No, you watched it week to week, engaged in the speculation. Checking out, I'm assuming, incorrect and ridiculous fan theories all over the internet.
I know I was keeping my theories very much to myself. But
you'll notice Owen as the person who's banned from the Star Wars subreddit for spam over the last 4 or 5 weeks. But no, I watched it in about a day and a half. So I binged it. But you watched it week to week.
But also very much in sort of online isolation.
Yes. So I didn't know anything.
You didn't know opinions. You didn't know what people were saying. Well,
I don't even know what the score is on Rotten Tomatoes. I've done literally no research.
Don't look it up.
I've done no research. I just watched it in a day and a half, and now I'm here.
The Jedi justify their galactic dominance in the name of peace. But that peace is a lie.
So my first question is, what did you know about the High Republic before this show?
Only that it was similar to the Old Republic.
Right, and you did know about that.
I know about the Old Republic from the games and a few of the books. That one.
Nice.
That's about it. I knew about it from bits of media, but I'm not like a super fan.
Yeah.
So I knew there would, but there was no Sith. That was the thing that I knew. Different. The Old Republic has thousands and thousands of Jedi, thousands and thousands of Sith.
There's a sort of great war, and we see a bit of that history shown in Rebels. They go to a Sith temple, and you can see a sort of ancient battleground, and it's like, oh my god, there were loads of Jedi, and there were loads of Sith, and so like that's it sort of speaks to an interesting history. But yeah, that this period is a period of great prosperity for the galaxy. So I've read the first couple of High Republic books. So I've read Light of the Jedi, that's fantastic, and I've read the first half of The Fallen Star, which is
doesn't sound very happy.
Yeah, I mean it's not ideal. If the sun fell, that would not be good for us.
Jedi are being hunted. She was my student. I trained her.
Let's go on to our next question. So I went in knowing a bit about the High Republic. I'd read some of the books. I'd really enjoyed what I'd read, and I'd enjoyed the kind of different vibe. It's sort of a bit more Knights of the Round Table. It's more Arthurian legends. It's more, kind of, it's medieval Star Wars.
Yes,
which is really fun.
It's an era in time in which they can focus on the central parts. Like they focus on the Jedi.
Yeah,
they focus on that area, because other bits you're focusing on outskirt planets, and like the Mandalorian, it's like bounty hunters and it's smugglers and it's farmers and stuff like this. This is a focus of like Arthurian legends. It's the kings and queens and soldiers and knights and whatnot.
Well, and you focus on what everyone loved in the prequels, the politics. But it's really fun when it's done well. It is really fun, and so
I don't know if we've ever seen politics done well on or off screen.
Definitely not off screen so far. We can only hope. But there's a really interesting line in A New Hope. Tarkin comes in and he says that the Emperor has dissolved the Republic.
Did he say with what?
He's not the Republic. He's dissolved the. Yeah, he had to use quite a lot of it. He's dissolved the Senate. Like he's gotten rid of that. So what we see in those things, like that's gone forever, and that's a real like small line, but it's sort of big world building.
Yeah.
So it's then fun to go back and see the machinations of that Senate, which we get more in the prequels, but we get here in a really good way. That senator I loved. I thought that was a brilliant character, and I'm so glad that they only put him in the last episode. No, he should have been another villain, I think.
Let me be the one to bring her in.
I sense this is only a small part of a larger plan.
So what were your hopes going into this show?
So this was the most excited. No, I was most excited for this show when they announced their slate.
They did that big slate a couple of years ago. We can get the graphic up
and see which ones are now not.
and see which ones have not made the cut. They keep
we'll check the Rotten Tomatoes scores by all the ones that have come out. And
because they keep doing this thing. It's in time of recording San Diego Comic-Con, I think tomorrow for us. And there I think will be sorry guys, half of it's not coming out. I mean, when's that Blade movie coming out?
Especially in Star Wars, it's a road call.
No, but but you know, they have a tendency, Marvel, Star Wars, Disney, they have a tendency to overpromise.
Was it Rogue One?
Yeah.
Or both of them?
Well,
no, Rogue One happened.
Yeah.
I saw that one.
That one's like, we saw that at the cinema. We went together. It's clearly an important memory for you.
This was the one I was most excited about. When they announced them all, I thought, from my memory, Droid Story.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I actually think I might have not watched that one if it ever came out.
It hasn't come out.
No.
I think that one's been quietly swept under the rug.
Andor, I was not excited about.
No.
Absolutely smashed it.
Yeah.
Fair dues. Ahsoka and things like this were maybe.
I don't think that was even announced in that slate, but it's arrived before.
Yeah.
Like that's why they shouldn't do it.
Yeah, but this one being a new period, because that's what everyone like. If you're not going to go beyond episode 9, and I know they might, but if you're not going to go beyond it,
well, they are. They've announced the new film with Daisy Ridley.
They've announced many new films.
Yeah.
So
I suppose you're right.
If they do go beyond it, absolutely fine. But if you're not, there's only so much you can squeeze in between 6 and 7, or 3 and 4.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
you see all these characters. You're ultimately not going to be that important because. You see Ahsoka and you go, I'm excited. There's Ezra, there's Ahsoka, there's this and that. But we know what happens next.
Yeah.
Because we had to watch the sequels. And
I think you mean got to.
The pleasure.
We had to.
Of spending 6 or 7 years of our life slowly unraveling.
Slowly realising, oh no.
That was how I matured, I think, as a person. It was not through social interactions.
That was the catalyst. That was, and I put away childish things, and I became a man.
I had to watch Rise of Skywalker on the cinema, like watching The Last Jedi and going, oh no, I like this. I do like this. It's Star Wars. They go boom, to then slowly arriving at Rise of Skywalker and thinking halfway through, I'm not having fun. I'm not having fun with this.
And I haven't been having fun. For some time now.
For like 7 hours? That's the runtime on that film, isn't it?
Yeah.
Seven,
I think
7
so.
maybe 8 hours?
Yeah.
So, what was my point? Oh, yeah. New time period.
Yes.
New time period. Felt like a great launching point if they landed.
Yes.
To then launch. Then if this film, TV show, we'll get onto structure. If this TV show was good, it opens up such a big world of do whatever you want. Yeah. Like you can do anything. There's like
the thing is, these books have been doing well, so that's why I was really excited when they announced this series of books, and they're doing it in phases. But they have planned, and they've planned well. They have multiple writers, but they've got a story group. They're all doing it. It's a cohesive effort. They have different levels. So I've only read the sort of adult novels. They're not that not that kind. No, but they have YA novels. They have all the way down to like kids books set in this period, and they have comics and graphic novels and one shots and all these different things. but I've only really read the novels. But I've really, really enjoyed them because it's Star Wars. It's still Star Wars, but it's in a completely new flavour. And that's what we've loved about the shows that have come out and have done something more specific. So Andor is this spy thriller. It's amazing. It's its own thing. It stands on its own as just good television. The Mandalorian is the most Western that we've seen Star Wars be. It less so now, the sort of further it's gone along, it's lost a bit of its identity a little bit, maybe. Ahsoka is more samurai, and the Acolyte has that in its, you know, sort of moments, its sort of glimmers. But that's what I've really loved about this book series. So that was my hope going into it, was that it was going to bring a whole new audience to an element of Star Wars that I was already really, really enjoying. And loads of people have. The books have been doing well.
Yeah.
You know, a bunch of them have been New York Times bestsellers. So I'm pretty sure it says it. Yeah, #1 New York Times bestseller. So, you know, they've done well. They've
this one just says New York Times bestseller. It's not even, it's not #1. That's not even got it. Okay,
and this is New York Times best-selling author.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, they've...
that's got nothing on it.
Yeah, that one's got nothing on it.
It's degrading slightly with each copy, isn't it?
No, but they are different writers, so that's exciting. It's this... There's this through line. So going into this series, I didn't have high expectations. I had high hopes because I've really, really enjoyed this period.
Some sort of shift to tip the scales.
It's time
To face the past.
What did it do right?
The villain.
Yep.
I watched the show. I finished it yesterday. Yes, today.
You finished it? Yes.
Today. I finished it yesterday, and even
you finished it today. Yeah.
Manny Jacinto.
Yeah.
Just is a level above everything else on this show. And I'm not going to comment on the quality just yet. I'm just going to leave it. Just Manny Jacinto, because he deserves his own headline praise. It's the best thing in this show, and it's one of the best things in Star Wars. And
I would say one of the best things that he could have ever done for his career.
Yeah.
Because as we were talking about him earlier, you kind of can't really see him as not Jason from The Good Place. And at the front end of this series, he's still doing that.
Yeah.
Then that turn, that glorious turn. Oh.
No, it's incredible. And the thing is,
the range that he has is so impressive.
Because it's a different Sith, right? That's always been the issue with Star Wars that some people have, is that it's so absolute. Sith's only deal. It's so good and it's so bad. It's so like you're like the Anakin, you know, you're a good guy or whatever, apart from the killing or whatnot, and then suddenly you turn from
apart from the
who
sort
hasn't
of ethnic
genocided,
cleansing,
you know, you who throws the first stone, but he just turns from like I love my wife and I'm gonna like do what's best for the Republic or whatever to killing children.
Yeah.
And it's like it's almost like a switch gets flipped in someone's head, that they go from a regular human being, Jedi, to the most evil thing in the world. Like they go beyond anything else. Whereas in this one, you saw someone who is like obviously bad. He does kill people, and I can't condone that in good conscience.
Well, that's good. I'm glad, and I'm comforted by that.
But he's still jokey. He's still like he has a sense of person. Like he's a human being. And
there's still warmth and care. You know, he cares for Osha.
Yeah.
He looks after her. He feeds her. He gives her shelter. Like he does these, and that sounds really basic, but that's in this kind of universe. It is a sort of a landscape of basic needs. And for the person that does that for you, especially she is an orphan who has been working a dangerous job that's kind of illegal, you know, to be shown that kind of care and that love, you know, that shows a lot of humanity in him.
Destiny is not decided for you by an anonymous force. If you want to pull the thread and change everything, then pull it.
So, I mean, if we're talking about performance as well, I think we need to talk about Lee Jung-jae. Learn English for the role. Incredible. Yeah, he didn't speak English.
Yeah, see, these are all the facts that I'm going to need you to tell me, because I didn't know any of these people apart from Carrie-Anne Moss and Manny Jacinto.
Yeah.
So I know no facts.
So
nothing.
Lee Jung-jae from Squid Games.
Right.
So that's kind of where he's come from. So, you know, that has caught a big amount of the internet. And yeah, he got the scripts, and yeah, he didn't speak English. He learned English for this role. And his performance is one of the best, really.
Yes.
He's incredible. His line delivery, the nuance,
Yeah.
his understanding of the emotion of the line. And he very recently didn't understand the meaning of that word. I think is incredible.
He and Manny Jacinto are giving the best performances by a distance.
Yeah.
And they're the most interesting characters. They've got the most backstory. We have said only the positive things. I suppose I don't know if you have
I have more that I want to say about what it did right.
Yeah.
You know, I can feel you itching to get in with your criticism, but no, I mean the fighting I thought was incredible.
This
Incredible.
is I think the best fighting we've had in Star Wars.
The sort of wushu influences that you can see. So the wire work was incredible. So you've just mentioned Carrie-Anne Moss, obviously coming over from the Matrix movies. She's done that sort of thing, and it looks incredible here. It makes sense. It's what people who are using the Force should be doing. This is what it always could have and should have been. But the lightsaber duels, incredible. The amount of lightsabers on screen, and they all look great. Everything feels so tactile, so dangerous, so visceral, so immediate. It looked incredible. The choreography was fantastic.
It does a good thing in the choreography that I always complain about the prequels, where they're aiming at the other person's lightsaber. Yeah. So you end up with these 5-10 minute sequences of smashing lightsabers against each other. Yeah. Just for it to abruptly end. Well, but you're not feeling the...
And I'll tell you the exact clip that we're going to pull out, and so that you can see it, of there's a fight in Attack of the Clones, and they just stop. Anakin just sticks his arm out for it to then be cut off. Yeah. And then the fight ends. But that's it's like, what? And we should also cut to behind the scenes footage of what the original Sidious Mace Windu fight was going to be. Yeah. They changed their mind on the day and made 60-year-old Ian McDiarmid do this massive fight just on the day. So they have stunt performers who'd choreographed this amazing fight. It looked brilliant. And then they sort of nixed that right at the end. So we haven't seen this kind of lightsaber fighting.
Because it was gritty, and a bit brutal, and
the hand-to-hand stuff. At one point, he's just wailing on him. He's just punching him in the face.
The bit where he skewers someone and then force pulls them into the skewer, stuff like this.
It turned into a kebab.
It's fantastic. It's great. I think is that episode 5 that happens in.
It's night, whatever episode that is.
I think so from episode.
I think you're right. I think it's maybe episode 5. Yeah.
When there's that heel turn, when it turns into the rest of the show, 5, 6, and 8, I think it maybe, whichever episodes these are, they were all highlights in terms of the I think everything steps up, including the fight choreography. I'm trying to think of the other positive things to say. And I have a lot of positive things to say. And I've not given my overall, I suppose, opinion of the show, which is I think it's actually entertaining. I think it's good. I think it introduces you to a new part of the world, which is actually interesting. Yeah. The issues are in the pacing of it, which I could feel even watching episodes just one after the other. Yeah. If I were to have watched this week to week, I feel like I would be far more negative because I would have seen the structure of it. Yeah. Ignoring that though. Yeah. What they show us, I think, is actually fun, and
I think another thing that they've done, which I love, and that we've talked about it there, they killed people. Yes, people died. They're gone forever, and they're never coming back. I love that.
I didn't actually trust the show for a half an episode. I thought they might just come back. Yeah, as brutally as they were killed, I was like, this is just from past experiences.
Oh, right.
I was like, I just don't know if I trust you that you've actually killed this person.
But they have. And it's brilliant. And, because they do that, jump scare cut to corpse. Yeah. and you're like, wow, they really have done it, which is brilliant because, you know, so you look at like the Book of Boba Fett and they'd like fake out Cobb Vanth's death, but you knew it was never going to be dead.
Yeah.
Like he was shot in the shoulder. Film logic, that guy's alive. He's fine. And you don't see the body. They're not dead. Shot anywhere but the head or the heart, they're not dead. You know, the shot lingers on them for a second or so. You know, there's so many things where it's like, oh, they're not dead. But this show killed people, gone forever. And there were quite a few red shirts, which it was fun to see.
Oh, and that was such a great misdirect, though, of that episode where they kill the red shirts. They bring the red shirts. You go, oh, well, they're going to die.
Yeah.
But then they kill the other people as well.
Yeah.
They kill the red shirts, and you're like, oh, I can relax.
Yeah.
They've done the killing.
Yeah.
Then they do the killing again.
Yeah. Well, they just keep going.
Yeah.
They kill all the red shirts, and you're like, oh, God, wow, look, he's just killed. Oh, my God. And he just builds, and you're like, wow, this is brilliant. So I loved that. The costumes, I really loved.
The lack of them on Manny Jacinto.
I mean, people have gone wild for those arms. I mean, yeah, wow. He was definitely doing push-ups before those takes. And they were, you know how like bodybuilders like spray themselves down. He was getting spritzed for sure. But he looks fantastic. But again, from a production standpoint, he and its performance and production of earlier on, the character looks and seems silly because he's Jason from The Good Place, and he's got his floppy hair and his flowing robes, and then suddenly he's the guy with the helmet and the arms.
Yes.
And it's such a good silhouette, and it works so well.
And I think as well, so I didn't watch really the Clone Wars or Rebels religiously in the way that a lot of people do, because they're able to rewatch it. So to me, seeing all these Jedi and the Jedi temples and all this sort of stuff is actually still kind of novel. And I think that people who are very deep in the Star Wars fandom don't, I like, they see it in Clone Wars. Every episode they're in, some Jedi lightsabers are flying around all over the place. They're using the Force for whatever. When I've basically watched the sequels, and then Mandalorian, which is what it is, and then Book of Boba Fett, Andor, and then Ahsoka, which obviously is a bit more Jedi-y, but out in the far reaches of space.
And one of her lines literally is, "I am no Jedi."
Yeah,
famously.
And then even Kenobi as well. Like, so if I've not watched the cartoon Star Wars, if I've just watched the live action stuff they've released, I haven't actually seen like Jedi in this form.
Yeah.
Apart from the prequels.
Yeah.
So if you're constantly watching the Clone Wars, you see it all the time. You see Anakin and Obi-Wan.
You see them
whatever.
Every day of the week. Yeah.
Whereas jumping from like the last time I saw Jedis in a Jedi temple doing something was a flashback in Kenobi, or it's the whole of the prequels. It's 20 years ago.
Yeah. They flash back to it in Mandalorian, in Book of Boba Fett.
Oh yeah.
And in Kenobi as well.
But it's like flashbacks to the prequels. You don't see them.
Well, it's flashbacks to one moment.
Yes.
It's that SpongeBob meme of like, do you want to see it? You want to see it again? You want to see it again? But it's just Order 66.
Yeah.
And it's just see it again.
Which is something I've already seen in episode 3.
Yeah.
So seeing loads of Jedi, different types, different alien species, using the Force in different ways, actual good lightsaber combat.
Yeah.
It's still novel to me in a way that I'm sure a lot of people would watch this and they'd have seen a Jedi temple and gone like, oh, whatever. Yeah. Just a normal Star Wars setting. Whereas I was sort of still excited about just the basic things on screen.
Yeah, but I mean, their robes are different. As we said, it's their Gilded Age. So they have these sort of gilt gold robes. And that speaks to their hubris. That speaks to how, because this really sets up the prequels. This is at the tail end of the High Republic, and you're starting to feel the first falling block.
Yeah.
This is the last days of Rome. This is their empire. Is about to come tumbling down, and there's senators knocking at their doors. There's the Sith there. There's all these different things that are starting to challenge their power, their monopoly on power and authority and control. So I really liked just seeing how different it looked, but the same. So the Jedi Temple has its gold-tipped towers. Things like that are great. And the Jedi Temple looks great. The show in general, I thought, looked great. A lot of people are saying it didn't. There are bits where it didn't look as great, but there's a lot of on location shooting, which is great. So then there are some bits in the forest that look quite soundstagey. There are bits that look like they're filmed on the volume, but actually weren't. And it's like, how have you managed that?
I didn't actually even notice the bad parts.
But a lot of the discourse was around where's the budget gone.
Yeah,
a lot of it clearly went on that final episode. That bit in the rings, the chase there, that looked incredible. So that's where a lot of the budget went. You know, I think and also the budget will have gone into the wire work. That's expensive. Like doing stuff like that. Whereas I think a lot of people would have thought, oh no, but that's just like wire work, and it's like, no, but that's a whole other thing that you've got to do. That's expensive, and you know, because that's 50 more people on set. That's expensive.
Yeah.
You know, the health and safety stuff. That's expensive. Like it's so all of that. While we're on a positive track, favorite moment, element, theme, favorite thing, just what leaps out for you?
As I said, it's just Manny Jacinto.
Yeah.
He leapt out. I wish he leapt out of the screen.
Yeah.
But I loved seeing a different type of Sith, and I loved seeing the whole seduction to the dark side. Yeah. But it's actually seduction.
Yeah.
But he was the best part. Easily the best part. He was fun to watch and threatening. And just showed a new angle to something that we've seen the same angle of a million different times. So yeah, that as far as the Acolyte stuff goes as well, like that's what I thought the show was going to be about primarily. I assumed.
Well, I think that was the first pitch.
Yeah, the first pitch is we're going to show the Sith and an Acolyte.
Yeah.
Whereas we saw the two twin stuff.
Well, I think the studio went, oh, no, we want it to be about the goodies.
Yeah.
And then they were like, well, we've not painted them in a good light.
Yeah.
Because they're not. Yeah, but they never have been.
No, that's
even in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
You know, Yoda talks about and Obi-Wan talks about the hubris of the Jedi.
Yeah.
You know, they've never been the out-and-out goodies because they're flawed. They're inherently flawed. They're human. Like that thing that and some of them have giant fish heads. No, you're right. Yeah. But no, that senator said it where he was like, "Oh, you think that you have this magical control?" And she was like, "What, over the Force?" "Yeah, we actually do." And he was like, "No, over claiming that you can control your emotions." And she's like, "I'll show you about that. Get out of my office." And he's like, well, "Right, okay, point proved." Like, you know, and he said that, you know, it just needs one of you to crack. And so for me, just that speech, I really liked that character. That's a very close second because I loved that. But just as a fan, that for me, seeing the Kyber crystal being bled and turned red, and then when she ignited the saber and the red forcing out the blue as the emitter as it went for, I just loved that. Like that moment for me was like that's an all-timer. Even if I hadn't enjoyed the rest of the show, I would have enjoyed that. But I did, on the whole, enjoy the show. But let's talk about what the show didn't get right. What didn't it do well?
Close your eyes. Your eyes can deceive you.
Oh, it wasn't really a TV show.
No, it was a film that was chopped up.
It was a film that was too long.
Yes.
And a TV show that was far too short.
Yeah.
The first two episodes ended in like the weirdest.
Yeah.
I swear the first episode ends like feels like mid-sentence.
Well,
it just sort of,
and they knew that they were going to do a 2-episode premiere.
Yeah. Oh, I suppose.
But they didn't do a 2-episode premiere. They did
a
1-episode premiere that they chopped in 2.
Yeah. I will say 2. What does that make up? So 2 out of 8 episodes being a quarter of the episodes being flashbacks.
Yes. Yeah.
Starring children,
but also the same flashback.
The same flashback, because the second one,
for me, it wasn't Rashomon enough. That's what they kept talking about, of how, it's Rashomon, it's the same story told from different perspectives, and it's really going to change it. If you watch Rashomon, the film changes. It really changes.
Exactly. There were no reveals.
It was the same but slightly different.
You spent the whole show where so it was episode 7, I think, was the second flashback. I think maybe episode 6, you spend the whole show with May and Sol on the ship. Well, obviously other people are doing other things, but they're on the ship, and he's about to confess about 17 times. And he's like, and then the lights come on, and then like cut to a different scene, cut back. He's about to confess, and then the lights go off, and then he's about to confess, and then like some noise, like all that sort of stuff. But it's built up for the whole of the show is like, there's this horrible thing happened. They did something bad. Something terrible happened. It made this guy go into solitude and then immediately commit suicide. The Wookiee went and lived in isolation for the whole time.
Clearly driven mad. You know, he's literally scrawling on the walls.
Exactly. And Sol is just, I suppose, maybe a shell of himself. He's horribly racked with guilt over what he did.
Well, I think he's almost compartmentalized. Yeah. You know, he's still very much in the temple on Coruscant. I think he's just gone, boom, put that over there, and I'm just going to be still at the center of the Jedi, and I'm just going to focus on, new kids coming through, cool, a new class, a new school year.
Yeah, so they're all damaged, apart from Carrie Ann Moss's character, but that's because we didn't get a lot of time with her.
No.
So I expected something big. Well, actually, no, I didn't expect something big. When I was watching the first few episodes, I thought, well, obviously, the Jedi have, like, killed them all in some misunderstanding or not, the Jedi have killed everyone.
Yeah.
And then I spent 5 or 6 episodes with them being like, oh, what happened? Ooh.
And
then they showed me the same thing I'd already seen, except they showed me that the Jedi killed everyone. And I was like, well, I thought I knew this.
Yes.
I thought you were going to show me something different.
Yes.
Except all I got was Sol was like, oh, you know that noise that happened in that other episode? It was him. Like the two flashbacks. But
also, did you remember? Oh, well, so maybe
I did because I watched it because you watched it.
Yeah. For me, that was 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I don't remember that little noise.
Oh well, that's so. Watching those flashbacks when I watched one an hour and a half ago, I was like, I've literally seen this. Like, I really had to fight the temptation just to skip. Not the whole episode. I was like, at minute 5, I was like, could I just go to 45 or whatever? Like, so. The structure, it could have been 6 episodes and you could have a 10-minute conversation about what happened.
Yes.
It's always nice to see what happened, but you could have just had them say, oh, we were children, and then this happened. And then I could have had a 2.5-hour film and you had that be a conversation inside of that film.
Yeah.
And it meant that the episodes didn't feel like whole episodes. They were sort of, it was in this halfway house.
They kept doing this thing where as you got towards the end of the episode, you were like, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. But obviously it wasn't that crazy. Yeah. But it like you were like, oh, you're about to end, but don't end the episode. Don't end. You've ended the episode. Yeah. Okay.
Because they were short episodes.
And it was like hey, minutes. We're just about to do something exciting. Would be a shame if we were to. No, come on, like no. But yeah, they kept doing that, and so that was frustrating. So week to week, I'm really looking forward to watching this show back. Because I did really enjoy it. I'm really looking forward to being able to watch it and not have to wait a week. I am really excited to binge this series.
Because I think if you skip the flashback episodes, you watch just the other 6 episodes, about half an hour each. Yeah. It's 3 hours. It's a long film, and you cut things from that film. But it works. When I watched it, it worked kind of nicely. Yeah. All one after the other.
Well, there are some of the other shows that I never watch just one episode.
Yeah.
If I watch the Book of Boba Fett, I watch it all. If I watch Obi-Wan, I watch it all. You know, so Mandalorian you can watch more episodically, Andor you can watch more episodically, but those ones I'll watch all of them. This is one that I will watch all of it. Like I'll be like, oh, I'll watch the Acolyte today.
I think when people in a year's time watch this back in one go, they'll be kinder to it.
Yeah.
From like I could imagine week to week.
Yeah.
Seeing those like teased reveals, especially when you have to wait a whole week and then all you get is a flashback to something you know happened.
Yes.
That cuts away from because then you suddenly you're episode 6, you finish it and you go, right, cool. Let's see the last 2 episodes. Let's see the build up and then let's see the finale. And then the build up is spent on a flashback to something you know's happened. And then you look at the finale comes out and you know you've got 40 minutes to wrap this whole thing up. And obviously they want season 2. That was a lot of the finale. Like half the finale was just stuff that might happen later.
Yeah.
This is a point I actually just thought about that's so unrelated to everything else. But I'm sort of fed up with British people being in Star Wars so much because it takes me out of the shows. because they have such normal, boring voices.
Right.
That,
yeah.
Like some of the Jedis will just be like the sidekick guy to Venestra, the Green Lady.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He just had such a like.
But also, I've seen him specifically in too many like comedy roles, and he's playing the same role in this as like sort of slightly meek sidekick character that's bossed around and it's played for laughs. He plays that exact character in The Outlaws, which is a great show, would recommend. But he plays the exact same character. So then that one did really take me out of it. Because I was like, this is a comedy actor.
Even I don't even know the character's name anymore because I watched over such one. But like the girl with horns,
the Zabrak, yeah. So it's not. No, don't say it. Mother Coral.
Was it?
Yeah.
This young one, the Jedi.
Oh, Jackie.
She had a very like just standard British sort of like normal voice.
Yeah.
And it just
Is Daphne Keane British?
I think so.
Is she? I don't know. We'll put it up on the screen.
But like, this is not a complaint specifically about the Acolyte, and I just felt as I was watching it.
Yeah.
A lot of Star Wars has random UK actors in it, and they all make me feel like I'm not watching a high production Star Wars show.
I think they're just trying to get a job, Luke.
I know, and I just don't want it.
You just don't want them in employment.
No.
Get them out. Not my Star Wars.
It makes me feel like I'm watching a BBC show.
Yes.
Every time they come up.
Well, because they are. They're actors from the BBC. Like.
Oh, I know. This is only going to bother me.
Yeah. Are you not going to watch the next season of The Last of Us because the girl from that has been in a BBC show?
Well, only if she sounds like she's been in a BBC show.
Yeah, Bella Ramsey. That's
if they put on actual.
She's been in this time now. Yeah.
If they put on Jedi voices, that's fine.
Yeah.
But like, if I was in a Star Wars show,
yeah,
and I just sounded like this,
yeah,
no, I'd notice.
I would hate that too.
Yeah. Exactly. We agree.
Life. Balance. I see fire.
Let's get your rankings of this against. Let's do the live action shows that we've had so far. So we've had The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Andor, Ahsoka, and The Acolyte. So from the bottom up, please.
The bottom up.
Yes.
The worst one. Was Boba Fett.
Yeah, and we're going to go back and forth. Yeah, so 5 out of 6. Book of Boba Fett. Yeah, same here. And I didn't. Actually, I didn't hate it. I didn't dislike it. But for me, that maybe is at the bottom.
I think I just didn't. I didn't like it.
Yeah. What's your?
The next one.
What's your number 5?
Is Kenobi.
Yep. Yeah.
Is that for you?
Same for me. And for me, those are kind of interchangeable. There are elements in both of them that I enjoyed, but they just didn't. They didn't stick the landing.
So then, what have I got left? I've got left Ahsoka, Andor, Mandalorian,
and this.
It's Ahsoka. Right. Next, I think. Yeah, Ahsoka next.
Yeah, for me, I mean, so the question there is like, you're right, it's either Ahsoka or The Mandalorian or The Acolyte. And The Mandalorian being 3 series, the first season, perfect. The second season, pretty good, but maybe it's starting to stray, it's starting to do these things. And then the third season is still brilliant, but doesn't hit as much. But I would put Ahsoka there as well, yeah.
Then I would put, I think on balance,
yeah,
it's then The Mandalorian.
Right.
To be clear though, seasons 1 and 2 are above whatever I will be about to say.
Yeah.
But it has overstayed its welcome.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would be far sooner watch the other 2 shows that are on this list.
So you're looking forward to season 4, which is coming out.
And the movie.
And a movie, yeah.
4 seasons and a movie.
Yeah, 4 seasons and a movie.
But there's a gap, I think, between The Mandalorian and Ahsoka. And there's a gap between Ahsoka and Kenobi.
Yes.
Ahsoka sits by itself, I think, in enjoyed.
Yeah.
The bottom 2 are like...
enjoyed bits.
Like passable.
Yeah.
And then Mandalorian is like liked. Like that's that gap.
I would say for me in that next spot, maybe is the Acolyte, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great, but for me, yeah, just on balance, and we both know what's above it is the Mandalorian. I think that first season, as I said, is perfect. I have watched all of the wider media and have really enjoyed it. So that's what season 2 does, is it brings in a lot of those characters. It brings in people like Bo-Katan, and for if you've not watched all of Clone Wars and Rebels, you're not like, huh? Because we were actually living together when season 2 was coming out, and I remember we watched that together, and I was like, oh my god, that's Bo-Katan, and you were like, who?
Yeah.
And because it is Katie Sackhoff, but you know, she was in the Night Owl armor, and I was like, oh my god, that's her. Like, and so I've had those moments from the Mandalorian, and that's given me that, and so I really enjoyed that. I think season 3 was way overhated. I think one episode maybe tonally misses the mark a bit, but I think the rest of it is still really good and does some amazing stuff. I'm talking about the Lizzo Jack Black episode, obviously.
For me, I care a lot less about the Mandalorian religion aspect of it than I think the show would like me to.
See, and the reason that I do is because I've watched the Clone Wars, and they're on Mandalore the whole time. So for me now, Mandalore having gone, seeing the Mandalorian and how they're bringing it back, I'm like, wow, that's so cool.
Precisely. Next for me is the Acolyte, because I'm not insane. Andor is the best
by a long stretch.
Again, there's a gap of Andor, those two, Ahsoka, bottom 2.
And I mean, for me, just Andor genuinely is top tier television just in general.
And I think if we were to sit down and rewatch Andor right now, we would be harsher to the Acolyte, just because there's that quality gap. And that's unfair on the Acolyte. But yeah, for me, I mean, that's just where it is. Like the Acolyte, I think, saying now it's my second favourite, I think that's fair on balance. I think structurally, it's not great, but I think if you do binge it, a lot of that you don't get. I had none of the build-up of speculation week to week. For instance, the reveal of who the villain is. I have no idea if that was supposed to be a secret. I'm sure everyone would have worked it out.
Yeah, I mean, we all worked it out. We all worked it out.
Precisely. And because I worked it out as I was watching.
There was no one that it was only going to be him.
Yeah. No, precisely. So, but watching it, just you meet the character, and then 45 minutes later, he's the villain. You're like, oh, that's fine.
They played that as one of their mysteries, though.
Yeah.
And it's like, but this isn't a mystery. And they played the Jedi have done something terrible as one of their mysteries, and that wasn't a mystery. They only got one of their mysteries being actually genuinely mysterious. And they haven't answered the question, so it still is a mystery. It's like, who's his master?
Oh, right.
What's his background? Well, they've said who his previous master was, but they've not said what's led him there.
But that's less of a mystery, and just so they haven't told us.
Yeah. So it was a mystery. They had 3 mysteries. Who is this Sith master, and like, what's his deal, and what did the Jedi do, and what's the sort of truth of the kids? And we were told what the truth of the kids was and what the Jedi did. We were told who the master was, but not kind of what his deal is and what his story was.
Someone is killing Jedi. It doesn't make sense. What happened?
I sensed darkness.
Do you think that they were setting up for a season 2?
The answer is yes, maybe not directly. Acolyte season 2, but they're setting up for High Republic. Let's go again.
Right, so they're doing a sort of Mandoverse.
Maybe,
we did the Mandalorian, now the Book of Boba Fett, now Ahsoka.
I think they don't know. I think they made it, and they'll see what happens, right? But they chucked in them chucking in Yoda pre-credits is that classic Incredible Hulk not having the confidence everyone's sitting around for the end credit scene.
The showrunner did say ahead of time that this series would be finished. It would be like series 1 would have its answers. It would be its own thing. It would stand on its own. That was a lie. No, it did, but it also didn't, and it did in the way that like a bunch of other TV shows have. So I kind of agree with that.
But I think it has left everyone wanting more. That's the one positive you can say is, for instance, I finished Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
They never need to show me any of that ever again. No one's there going. No one's clamoring for a Book of Boba Fett season 2, and people aren't I guess, loving this.
Yeah.
But they do want more.
Yeah.
There was enough good stuff in this that everyone wants to see have it be explained. They want to see the Masters. They want to see more Manny Jacinto.
Well, and they showed Darth Plagueis for a second.
Exactly. So
and it's like, oh, cool. Does he know or does he not know? And so there's that question. If for me, season 2 needs to open with Yoda saying to Venestra, so as you say, his ears prick up at the end, that post-credit stinger that they front-loaded because people weren't going to stay around. They need to have had, what we've not seen is that she's told him everything. But she's told him everything, so because she knows everything, and we don't yet know everything. We know quite a lot, but she's told him everything, and it needs to open, and it's a Yoda monologue. But I think they did right in not showing his face, and I think they don't show his face. I think they maybe like pan back to silhouette, and they have it through. In Japan they have like the sort of sliding doors, but with like paper.
Yeah,
I think they have like a silhouette, and maybe he's like walking up and down, or they do something like that.
Or he's sat on a hover chair.
I think they can't. I think they can't really show his face because they're not going to get it right.
Yeah.
Because if they animated it, it just wouldn't look right, and it kind of needs to be the puppet. But anyway, I think they need to open on him saying, "If what you've just told me is true, then you need to go and do this, and this." And he sort of, the call to adventure starts immediately, but he's like, we've got to cover this up. And he sends her off to do this thing, to go find her pupil. And by the end of season 2, for me, everyone needs to be dead. Everyone.
Yeah.
Because I loved that this season, it said, here are all of the characters. And by the end of the season, half of them are dead. So who have we got? We've got Venestra, May, Osha, the Stranger. Who else is left? Pip? Right, yeah, but Pip's dead. That was so quiet. I was like, what? Pip? No, but Pip's dead. Pip's dead and buried, really. Because Pip had his memory wiped.
But C3PO showed us they can get that back.
But it's so weird that both Pip and Pip's new master have both had their memory wiped. That's something that they can bond over, I guess. What's your earliest memory? I don't actually have any memories. Me too! Or me neither, I guess. But I want everyone to be dead. And I want Plagueis to be alive still. So I want it to be that she's gone out, she's found him, and it's all come to a head, and they're all doing this. Do you think they will get a second series?
Yes. Maybe not the Acolyte season 2, but they'll do something. Because, as you say, they put out all these books. They're putting this era as the next thing.
Well, it's a new frontier.
They want to mine. They've already mined the original trilogy. They're going to go beyond the sequels. They need something else. It might not be the Acolyte, but they're going to have something in this space. And it might have, and if you have something in the space and you've used the head Jedis and the head senators and the only Sith around, they probably have to show up again.
Yeah,
like if they do more High Republic but just ignore all these characters, I don't know what they're going to do.
Well, they could go further back because they've gone right to the end of the High Republic. So my final question is, what does the future hold? So what is the kind of influence that this show will have, not just on this period, but on Star Wars as a whole? So that can be from how they approach making shows, how they structure them.
Well, I think the structure is the thing that this should take, is that they should know that there are enough good things in this show to be good. They've made something worth watching, but they've not presented it in a way that has allowed people to watch it and enjoy it. And that's the key takeaway, is you have to, if you're releasing a TV show, release a TV show. If you're releasing a movie, release a movie. Don't release half and half. Don't mess around with it.
For me, one of the things that I wish they would do, because they can, don't release a TV show. Release a streaming show. You're a streaming website. Make a story that one episode is 40 minutes, the next episode is 20 minutes, the next episode is an hour and a half. Because that's what that story needed.
Yeah.
When you're reading a book, The chapters are not all 30 pages long. Sometimes a chapter is 2 pages long. Sometimes a chapter is 30 pages. And they need to start doing that for me.
Yeah.
If the story that they want to tell in that episode, if what they want to convey is in this amount of time, then that's what they should do. They shouldn't be going, well, we've got to get 40 minutes of content. Because if you watched 20 minutes, but it's one take, it's all in one room, and all you're getting is conversation, and you stay in this room with one character, and different people come in and out, and it's 20 minutes, it could be 20 minutes of the most intense television that you've ever watched. It could be incredibly entertaining, enlightening, exciting. You know, you could watch that and think, wow, that was amazing. And then if they did a more meandering, slow burn, mysterious episode the next week that was an hour and a half, for me that would work. It would be, no, well, that was the episode where we found everything out, where they found out all of the information. They said, oh my God, and this person's done that. Oh my gosh, what are we going to do next? And then this guy comes in and tells me that, what? This has changed everything. And everything was only 2 sentences ago. And then the next episode, they're sort of actioning all of those things, but slowly. That would be great. For me, that would work. And they don't need to stick to these traditional structures because they're able to change, because it's a streaming show. They have that freedom and that ability. So for me, time has felt something that's really penned them in. They've felt like, you know, this series either needed to be longer or shorter, as you've said. This should have had way more episodes, or it should have been a film. But for me, I want them to do that new thing. But that's a new idea. Somebody has to do it first, and it might not work. I've just pitched that as an idea, and the reason that that is a format that doesn't exist might be because it would never work. So somebody might try it, and I'll go, oh, look, they did the thing that I suggested, and it was horrible, and I hated it. It was rubbish. Didn't work. But I don't know. I think. Do you think the future for Star Wars is bright? Do you think they'll pull back?
I actually have no idea.
The reaction to this has been quite strong, we'll say. Do you think they're going to pull back and reconsider, especially with 3 to 4 movies on the slate?
What I think is interesting is I think TV sort of failed, to be honest. I think if you're inside the Star Wars bubble, they feel like the biggest thing in the world. I was able to go the entire run of this show and see no discussion about it.
Right.
I wasn't like on the Star Wars subreddit or following them on Instagram or whatever.
Yeah.
I genuinely would have seen nothing. Like, if you are not a Star Wars fan, I
saw someone say that, about Thor 4, of somebody shared this thing of like, oh, and they did this thing at the end of the movie, and I didn't like that. And somebody commented, this movie was obviously so bad that I haven't had this spoilt for me until now.
Yeah.
And Thor 4 came out whenever it did, a while ago.
Like this, The Acolyte, if I was not aware that it was coming out, from following Star Wars stuff, I just wouldn't even know that it existed.
Right.
A movie you know about.
Yes.
And I think they're losing that with the general public, because people know The Mandalorian came out. I think if you went around on the street and said, oh, have you watched Ahsoka? Genuinely, 95 out of 100 have not watched it.
Right, yeah.
I think Star Wars fans think it's bigger
yes.
because it's the biggest thing at the moment.
Right.
I think they've, as you say, the backlash or whatever for this has been huge, because I think the Rotten Tomatoes score or the whatever it is that's being review bombed, the only people watching it are Star Wars fans. It's not fans of sci-fi or fans of drama or whatever.
It's interesting that you say that. I was having a conversation with someone who hasn't watched much Star Wars the other day, but has watched this. And they were enjoying it.
There will obviously be people who do and don't, I suppose. But it's not made a splash, I don't think, in the way that.
No.
I don't like cooking stuff, but I hear about The Bear whenever it comes out, or Succession or whatever. They're the big shows that every single time you know about. I don't see the same push with The Acolyte or with Ahsoka or even with Mandalorian season 3,
or even
honest.
Andor.
Even Andor,
the fans were really saying, guys, please give this show its flowers.
This is it.
Because people weren't watching it. Even fans weren't watching it. Well, so there we are. I think that's everything that we have to say about The Acolyte. I'm sure we'll have news on whether there's a season 2 in the next 2 to 3 years. So check back in then. But until then, we've had a lot of fun making this video. We'll make more Star Wars videos soon. It's something that we care a lot about on the channel. But until then, please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps us here on the channel. Until then, goodbye.